You ever think about quitting?
It's the combat of life hammering the snot out of you.
Well, stand by, dig in deep, and get ready to get fired up with us.
Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast, the #1 podcast that inspires you to fight on. I'm your host, David Rutherford, here with Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell.
Our mission is to help you embrace the suck of life, to teach you the values of working your ass off, and to interview the most hard-charging people on planet Earth.
We know life is hard. It's time for you to suck it up, Buttercup, and let us teach you to persevere in every environment imaginable by sharing real-world lessons learned by those who never quit. That's right. It's time, Marcus, for us to help them defeat the negative insurgency in their lives.
You fire me up. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's roll.
Let's roll. Welcome to the Team Never Quit podcast. I'm your host, Navy SEAL motivational speaker, author, and performance coach, and I am here. Let me tell you who I'm here with, this is like my favorite part of the whole show. I'm here with my brother, my teammate, my man who gets me fired up every single day that I know I get to come to work and get on air with him to inspire millions of people around the world with the never quit mindset. Mr. Never Quit himself, Marcus Luttrell. Marcus, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Rut. You know, I was kind of one of them deals where I'm over here playing, I'm like, all right, come out dry and just like, hey. But I mean, I know you can see me behind, I'm trying to hide behind the screen because that smile, it's never failed. This has happened ever since we were boys, right? We were young,
Totally.
and the team, like, God damn it, dude, man, I can't stop smiling, dude. Crazy. Awesome, man. I'm good. It's good to be.
Well, then you know what? I'm accomplishing my mission, because my mission in life, right, is to make you smile, to make you happy, so you can get on here with me and we can make the world a better place, because that's what the TMQ podcast is about. It's about bringing positive spirit to the darkest days of our lives.
And for the record, he's always been like this. I mean, there were situations where we were getting hammered and he'd be like, oh, this is great. I'm in so much pain. It's real.
And that's what I love about it, man, right? When you get Nick on there and you were saying that, hey, man, this is first Nick Palmisano was saying, oh, when I first met him, I thought it was BS, right? Then the fourth and the fifth time. And I'll tell you what, man, my mission in life is to make every day count. And you know that too, man, better than anybody. And that's our mission on this show. On the TNQ podcast, our mission is to inspire millions of people across America and around the world to really accept the never quit mindset, to want to take it on board, to dig deep and to be in the swamps and be in the pain with us, right?
Yeah.
And so you can embrace that and learn from it and grow from it and really find your purpose in life like Marcus and I have. I mean, because we've lived some pretty good lives so far.
We have. We've been blessed.
I mean,
even starting out the way we did, it was all part of the process to get to right here. And if I'm as happy as I am right now, then it was all worth it, right?
Amen. I mean, I tell you what, I look at my beautiful wife, the Admiral, I smile. I look at my two beautiful girls, the Bear and the Bruiser, I smile. I come up here with you, I smile. That means all the pain was worth it.
Right.
I mean, everything we went through, everything that we experienced, we got to this point. And it was about that struggle. It was about that moment. And that's what unites us. That's what you always say.
It is. I mean, especially when we're starting out like that early in your life when you're young. I mean, you can handle that stuff. I mean, we purposely wanted to be in it. I mean, a lot of people have great lives and they purposely go in and get into the hard stuff. So when we're sitting here in our, rolling out the later years, it was well worth it.
Well, and that's the crazy thing about this show. Right there. What you just said, that's the crazy thing about the show. And the way our show works, folks, the way we deliver the never quit mindset to you is in 3 basic sections. The first section, we talk about a wonderful person or event in history that really truly had the never quit mindset. And the why we deliver that to you or spark your interest in, so you can go research them, you can dig into it, and hopefully their story will inspire you like it's inspired us. The second part of it is we have on these great interviews from people, all different types of walk. We don't believe that there is any kind of discouragement or separation or judgment on anybody, because in our world, we know everybody's got a never quit story, right?
Yeah, I mean, people quick to judge and like, oh, I don't like that person or this, that, and the other. And we understand that, right?
You walk in their shoes for a day, right?
Yeah, but they've been in a situation that probably you have. Even if you're from a different walk of life. And I mean, to go through it and to come out on the other side, what's behind that? What drove that? It doesn't matter if you personally don't like them, that can help you out, because like we always say, man, that pain, that misery in those holes, it doesn't know faces.
Nothing. All it knows is trying to get that. And I call that, and you guys have heard me say it before, I call it the negative insurgency.
Right.
And that negative insurgency is led by old Mr. Murphy himself. And they're trying to get in our souls and break us down. They're trying to get us to ring that bell, aren't they, Marcus?
Yeah.
But we're not gonna, because we're not born that way. We're not bred that way. And we certainly didn't learn those lessons. Now, granted, are we perfect? Hell no. There's no way Marcus and I would get on these microphones to share with you and say, oh, we're the greatest and all blah, blah, blah. No, we're here to share with you the misery we've experienced. We're here to share with you and inspire you to say, hey, you're going to be miserable too, but embrace that suck.
Yeah, we all get in those situations.
Right? And that's what makes us awesome.
That's human nature. That's human life world.
Across the board.
Period, yeah.
And so when Marcus talks about moving into your old age and moving into that place where you think you're done and you need to hang it up or whatever, we got somebody coming on down right on the show today that's going to make you go and halt, yeah. Right? I mean, this woman, I remember when I first thought about her and brought it up to Marcus, what do you think? He was like, man, that's awesome.
I was ready to pick her brain.
I mean, and listen, when you think about it, this woman's story, her ability to endeavor to persevere, to go on these expeditions, which she did over and over and over again, to never quit in the face of insane adversity at the age in which she did it.
Oh, that's just the point. That doesn't matter to her. And the route she went to challenge herself, when you throw yourself in the water, that's a different world completely.
You and I know a little bit about that, though.
I mean, it's the most unforgiving atmosphere you can be in, and you're not the top of the food chain. The them guys who go up in the air and test pilot shoots and planes, stuff like that.
That Red Bull dude who jumped from outer space.
Yeah, exactly. Some of them, you're like, man, I understand your drive. I really do. I might know a way you can implement that without having to go, you know what I'm talking about? Because that's where you ultimately, but when you have somebody like this who's actually been on that side of it and pushed through it, and what was great about it is because when she explains how she got through it, you can apply that to anything.
You're going to see this woman is going to blow you away. And the person we're talking about is Diana Nyad, the incredible woman who on her 5th attempt finally swam from Cuba to Key West. That's Cuba to Florida, right? That's an insane trip that woman, and she did it on her 5th attempt. She kept going back for it, and she actually accomplished this in her 60s. Now that's, in my mind, that blows my doors, because there are days, dude, I know you feel this, but there are days when I'm struggling to just get out of bed in the morning.
Oh, man, sure. Yeah, she has the perfect outlook on it, man. It's kind of like the light bulb phenomenon.
Right?
She goes, well, I accomplished it when I was in my 60s. Well, I was working on it.
My whole life.
Right, 30s, 40s, and 50s, and each time I'd go further. So I had to wait till I was 60 to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Everything else was just, her outlook is just training for the one I wanted to show everybody. God put this in me that I was going to be in my 60s when I did it.
Well, that's just her path.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to realize. If you're listening right now, you got to realize that your path is your path. But your path is only going to have meaning and purpose behind it is if you have something that's driving you forward, that momentum,
Sure.
right?
And if you're the first person doing something, it's not already paved for you, right? If we're breaking it down like that, which I love because
we just heard from Matt Best with 1T, and Nick Palmisano with Range 15, the movie.
Right. She not only walked down that path, she paved it herself. So people who follow her, that's the beauty about what she did. I mean, and what you're going to learn here is how she did it and to accomplish it. And if you're going to come in after her, man, you can walk down the same path she did, but why don't you widen it a little bit?
Yeah. Make it a little bit different.
Right. There's got to be somebody, Cuba to Key West. I'm going from Cuba to Pensacola. I'm going all the way around. Something crazy like that.
Right,
or doing a swim run.
Yeah. Then I'm going to run from Key West to Miami.
Right. So
that.
Who's up? Who's up?
So to start out with our historical movement, we're on that kind of Pathfinder mentality. And so the person that we came up with, and this cat, I mean, I love him just because he's a Navy man for sure. But this cat was somebody that, our executive producer out there, what's his name going to be? Control today? Control. We'll call him Control on this episode. Well, he came up with this guy and he said, hey, gents, check this cat out. I mean, he's the real deal. So we took one look at Robert Edwin Perry Sr., the explorer who basically found the geographic North Pole, right? The geographic right now, dudes, people are listening, they're like, oh, that's no big deal. I mean, what's the big deal on that? This was back in the early 1900s.
Yeah, you're the first.
You're the first.
Yeah.
He was the
it's
first
big
guy.
Deal.
And what makes him so unique, right? And you're like, yeah, okay, I'm starting to get it now. I'm tracking just a little bit. But what makes it so unique, folks, is that he attempted this thing 3 times. I mean, and this was not in the modern era where you had, your North Face parka, you had your Garmin Fortran.
That's what I have written down. Like, there's no technology. I mean, right now, it's hard to think past because you're in your technology. You're in your world, right? I mean, no big deal. North Pole, I know where that's at. Jump on a United plane and we'll roll up there.
We're good. I'll have my
no tech, no nothing.
I'll have my feet warmers.
Right. Old school. And the beauty about him, and like we were talking about with some of the past interviews, is the mentality, the explorer mentality, the adventure mentality, especially back then when it was, I mean, nowadays, pretty much, if you're going to go on an adventure and explore, somebody's probably been there and you got an idea what you're getting yourself into.
Well, there's 2 places left, right? The deepest parts of the ocean and the infinites of space, right? But what I love about in terms of exploration, when you make that point, it's really the exploration of your own soul. It's the exploration of digging deep inside and say, what can I do? Where can I go? What can I find out about myself?
I don't know how it works out in that situation because it was a long time ago, but is it the further you go into the black mass, the further you go in your body, right? Or is it the other way around? It's like, I know I can go this distance, even though I haven't done it yet. So, I mean, that's got to switch back and forth, right?
I think it does.
Hey, man, we went a little far. I can't see I can't see behind us, right? I mean, that's the way I think. I mean, it's a great idea as long as I can see land in my rear view.
Right. That first time you do the over the horizon and then
it's gone.
And San Diego disappears, right?
You better hope you can point to the North Star or the moon or something.
And somebody breaks out that Spyderco knife in your Zodiac and you're like, put that thing away.
Something touched the boat.
Well, imagine these guys. Imagine these old ships, these steam vessels, and them careening into, his first expedition, right, was in 1898 to 1902. Now, let me repeat that. That's another thing I want people to understand. 1898 to 1902. It wasn't like 1898 to 1899. Hey, dude, let's just zip on out there and find the North Pole.
So you're actually talking about, and this is no secret about me and the SEAL teams either. I mean, it was in my high school graduation phrase. What are you afraid of? Shark, eaten by a shark. That was my big deal. They had sea monsters back in those days, okay? All right? Every time we would get in the water, every time, man, that's all I could think about was a man in the gray suit or something getting a hold of me, man. My swim buddy would hit me with his fitters. I mean, especially at night, bro.
I hated it.
There
Remember
is
the
no
sea lions?
darker place on the planet than under an aircraft carrier at night, right?
No darker.
Weird
place.
stuff lives down there. I mean, talk about a fear, dude. And I mean, how about falling overboard back in them days or just finally getting so crazy you want to jump off the ship? And hold on, man. There may be a mermaid down here, but the Kraken is real in my mind. I'm a Navy man, right? So I believe in that stuff.
Well, my thing, I mean, they had dudes on the ship that were waiting for the Kraken to swallow them up, right? The folklore was still
Awesome.
alive.
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy back then.
And now you're going into these deep, dark waters. It's freezing cold out. I mean, you're eating the same stuff. You're probably sick as all heck. But you know what? It's this crazy dude that's like, we're gonna go further.
Man, that scene from Master and Commander when the boat's frozen, that dude's using the bathroom up there on the bow.
Yeah.
I mean,
epic. Epic, man. Epic.
People get freaked out sitting on a cold toilet seat. You know what I mean? You can hear people go, oh, God, man, that was cold. Right? Am I way off base here?
No, you're spot on.
I just see things from how bad they can suck.
And the crazy thing is the dudes got off the boat. He's like they came to that stop and they looked at each other and they're like, all right, now we got to get off the boat. And
leave the one thing that we know works.
Yeah. And we're gonna start trudging across this great land, and imagine trying to navigate in whiteouts, and imagine trying to navigate in a place. I mean, I'll tell you what. I used to teach navigation. My favorite was when kids would come in and I'd say, all right, orient your map, and they didn't know where they were, and we had definitive places that you could, mountaintops and all that. These dudes are in a whiteout, all right? And they're out there just trudging forth, trying to figure out, all right, where's the North Pole?
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, Marcus, there was no flag out there.
It's not a pole, right? And I would think about that too. And ultimately, people who talk about aliens, and try being an explorer back in the day and going in somewhere and seeing a polar bear or something crazy for the first time. You want to go up there and feed old Junior? You know what I'm talking about? See how this goes down, because them suckers can move out. All right.
Well, there were a couple of occasions.
You imagine a blizzard looking at me like, man, I don't know. That's some dude in a big old furry coat. Let's go see what's up. See if he knows where the North Pole is.
Yeah.
That's the stuff I think about, man.
I love
it. Just adds that, because when you hear like, oh, you went to the North Pole, man, I kind of know I know a little bit about that place and how unforgiving it is in this day and age.
Yeah. But he kept going back, man. And on that second, on his second expedition, he gets even further. And he starts pushing even hard, but does he get the whole way? Negative. And that second explanation was from 1905 to 1906. A little bit quicker because he had done it before. He knew the deal. He had some of the things. But still, he didn't reach the end.
Yeah.
Now, for most folks, that'd pretty much be a full lifetime career of exploring, right?
And yeah, you got people, especially if you got stuff falling off, people dying, getting old. Injuries.
Just the stress of being out and looking death in the face on a daily basis, and something we know about. But this guy, there was nothing saying, "Hey, you got to go do this," other than his internal drive, that purpose,
right?
To never quit, to be the first, and that's what kills me or inspires me so much. And you look at that final expedition in 1908 to 1909. And the guy going out there and he pushed it and he charged hard and he made it all the way out there, right? And he got to the North Pole. And what I love about it is that never quit attitude. He was going to do it no matter what. What kind of is, it kind of got to me when I was reading through this was the fact that right as soon as he did this, people started saying, "No, you didn't."
Yeah.
Nope. No, you didn't. Someone else did it. How do you really prove that? How do you do all that? I mean, can you imagine that? Here you just bust your chops. You put your life on the line to try and do this. You're out on the edge of exploration, but people are trying to bring you down.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens.
Sure. But hey, we're talking about him.
Right now, you and me on the Never Quit podcast.
I look at it kind of when I was reading about that and those old explorers, like our deployments, right?
Right.
We go to the same place a couple times, and how we get there, same thing. Every time after every deployment, what happens? You gear, streamline all that. The personalities that go out with you change on every deployment. So thinking about it from like that, but take it back all the way to the gear, just compared to that, the gear we have, the transportation, all, the way we get to where we're going, but how much fun that was going into those worlds that were foreign to us, man. I never been over there.
My favorite was when I got to Afghanistan the first time was driving down to the border of Pakistan by Spin Bulldog, going past there and driving out towards the desert of death.
Yeah. Oh, the names are great. Military great at throwing up some. Not only is it terrifying to be in war, You just named it Valley of Death. I don't think that's. I'm looking at the map. It doesn't say that right here. It says Happy Place, or something that translates like that. Be like, I mean,
guess what? We're going to the Valley
it
of
says
Death.
hell. I mean, is that real? I mean, is it hell? That's the translation. That's what whatever means. Because I'm not. It's hard enough to saddle up as it is. Hey, call it Disneyland. I mean, bad things can happen at Disneyland, I guess. So if it happens, something bad goes down.
At least you got that going.
At least
for
you're
you.
ready for it, man.
Anyway, so
You don't have to do this to get me spun up about going out there. All right, I'm ready on point.
I already volunteered. I'm here. I got my kit on. I'm ready to go. Why you got it?
The most ironic part about when the Jags would talk to us right before we go out the door is they were like, "Hey, if you feel like you're in danger, you can engage." And I was like, in my back of my head, I was like, "Well, I'm in Afghanistan, not at home. I'm kind of uncomfortable. You know what I mean? It's already there. And if some dude's standing across me laying lead at me, you don't have to worry. I mean, I get it.
I'm uncomfortable.
You didn't have to say that. What we were talking about earlier, I'm like, no. I just, hey.
The question is moot. Your statement is moot.
All you had to say was get up.
Yeah.
That kind of deal.
Yeah.
I mean, you wanted to let them know how the watch is made. Just keep an eye on the time, damn it. Let's just. Don't. I'm not the guy that needs those kind of details. I know what my job is.
Oh, that's awesome. Anyways,
That's why I normally don't say that out loud because I mean it's such a sideways way of looking at things. But
I think it's the
kept me
perfect
alive. You know what I mean?
Literally has kept you alive.
Kept me alive.
Well, anyway, so Robert Perry gets out there, accomplishes North Post, went on to, the guy's a pretty remarkable cat. So, in spirit of our guests, we wanted to share that great story with you, to get out there, research them, try and find the explorer in you.
Yeah. The person is still alive.
Oh, and she's the epitome of it, right? Diana Nyad
passed down is
the epitome of the modern explorer.
And I'd be curious to know if she knows who he is. And kind of, I'm talking about, even if this guy didn't motivate her to do that, the spirit of that is alive, and it's a human thing, right?
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure, when we get her on, she's gonna talk about something that, that's in the same ballpark. Because anytime you're cutting path and you're doing it for the first time, I mean, you gotta feel that sense of exploration, that sense of where you're really out there on the cutting edge.
Yeah, even out there with the team, with all those crews, how you do that. But ultimately, what it's gonna fall. I mean, you're at the helm, you're the captain.
Yep, for sure.
We wind up at the South Pole. That's on you. I was just running the ropes to the sails. You know what I'm talking about?
I was just in the galley cooking.
Right. It's hilarious. Melanie, I'll be driving somewhere sometimes, and she has this crazy sense of direction.
Really?
It's amazing. And I don't. For whatever reason.
Go figure.
Yeah. I like to go past the same point a couple of times just to make sure no one's following me and all that, team guy thing. That's how I explain it to her while we're lost. And then sometimes she'll go, hey, where are we at? And I'm like, how would I know that? You're the navigator in the navigator seat. With the phone.
Driver's drive, navigator's
the best thing is
navigate.
she's over there tinkering on her phone, and she's like, hey, read this, and put it in front of my face. And I don't touch my phone when I'm driving.
No, nor should you.
Yeah, just not onto it, man. But it's funny because she's so on point with that, and I'm not. And that's why what this lady did is exceptional.
Oh, I agree with you.
Because you know what it's like to navigate in the water when you can't see where you're going?
It sucks. That's why my first few ocean swims, I swear to God, I was about ready to just literally clip into my swim buddy, right?
Yeah.
And just let him do it because I was like, I don't know where I'm at.
Yeah, we crawled out of there kind of late the first couple times, and the guy was like, I think my swim kind of looked like an S. I'm like, well, mine looked like a zero, an O, a Q sometimes.
I put a little, I
could touch the bottom once. You're not supposed to be able to do that, I'm pretty sure. That's not a straight line because it was deep the whole way. I got that part. Your first open ocean swim, man.
It's brutal. So, in spirit of great explorers out there, that's why we really wanted to bring on Diana Nyad. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here she comes. We're here on the Team Never Quit podcast with what's got to be, Marcus, in my opinion, one of the coolest guests we will ever had, Diana Nyad. I mean, she is a woman that she transformed the whole concept around ultra marathon swimming in ways you can't even imagine. So to have you on, Diana, is such a pleasure. Welcome to our show.
David, Marcus, right before the show started, just so people know, we sort of got into a chat about the word honor. And, it could be that every person who stands up to speak these days, I don't care, and I'm respectful, whether it be a Rotary Club lunch or a 5,000 person dinner, everybody starts with, it's an honor to be here tonight. And when I listen and read about what you two guys have done, what the Navy SEALs do every day for our country, that is an honor for me to speak to you. And I'm really careful about that word honor. I just don't throw it around, and I know the two of you don't. But let me tell you something, it's an honor to be in the virtual room with you today.
Yeah. That fires me up.
Absolutely, same.
All right, so what we always like to do, Diana, when we get started is we like to give just a mad minute to our guests and just to get your brain functioning, get us getting going. Here's some of your comments, and then we're off to the races. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right, here you go. First thing pops in your mind. All right, where'd you grow up?
New York, Paris, and Florida.
If you had to watch a movie twice, what would it be?
Ordinary People.
Love
I think
it.
I've seen it 10 times.
Nice.
Most perfect movie for me.
Nice. All right. If you had to fight one, Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger?
I guess Arnold. So Sylvester is tough. He's proven. Arnold just acts it. Sylvester does it.
Okay. All right. Something you're afraid of?
Time running out.
Amen.
Not doing not doing enough or the right things with the little time we've
Great
got.
answer. I'm writing that down.
Amen.
I'm taking that one from you if you don't mind.
All right. Use these three words in a sentence. Pluto, Michael Phelps, and scissors.
Pluto was demeaned in being demoted from a planet.
Thank you. Thank you.
Poor Pluto. I still put Pluto in the stratosphere of planets, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
Michael Phelps, after Mark Spitz, the greatest male sprint swimmer who's ever lived. I still put Spitz first. What was the third one? Scissors. Well, I guess if we were Neanderthals living way back then, we would say, wouldn't it be great if we had these two little pieces of metal that had some sharp edges on them and could just slice through this bark we're trying to eat for dinner?
Awesome.
When he read those out, I go, she can outswim Michael Phelps to Pluto using a scissor kick. That's the first thing that popped into my head.
Oh, yeah. I kind of cheated and stopped down and made whole sentences out of each one. I didn't combine them.
No
That was
rules.
perfect. That was perfect. No rules.
No
Yeah.
rules here. All right. Beatles, Rolling Stones, or Led Zeppelin?
Zeppelin.
Nice. Live to eat or eat to live?
You are what you eat.
Right.
And I suppose I think about this all the time. All of us, that's what we look forward to all day long. Is what are we going to eat next?
Absolutely.
While you're eating. It's like, oh, wait, what do you want to do for dinner?
And this is a guy who'll eat like 10 times in one day. It's
I know.
nuts.
I'm after it all the time.
No doubt. There's a little health food store in my neighborhood. And I'm not a total freak about nutrition, but I try to be careful what's going in my body. But I used to go in there like for 8 years. There was an English guy named John, and he was very knowledgeable. I learned a lot about antioxidants and probiotics and whatnot. So one day I go in to pick up a little something. He's not there. And there's an Indian guy in there. He's got a turban and he's really nice. And he says to me, oh, I bought the place. John's not here anymore. And I said, where'd he go? He said, well, his dad died. He moved back to England. I said, I never got a chance to thank him for all the things I learned from him. And he said, well, I'll get you an address. Next time you come in, I'll get an email or address or something for you. So I said, okay. So I go to buy my little bottle of vitamin E. I put it on the counter. This guy grabs it and he goes under the counter in the back like this to get a bag to put it in. And he comes up and he says, it is not just the vitamins. You must be careful what you are eating. This is very important what you are eating. And I said, well, you are what you eat. And he said, what did you say? I said, surely you own a vitamin store. Surely you know that expression. You are what you eat. He said, no, that is brilliant. I'm going to put it in the front window. I said, just don't put my name on it because it's been around for a while.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, that's a bad minute right there. I mean, that story in itself. All right. So the whole show is all around that never quit story. And obviously, Diana, you know that better than most, 99.99% of people on this planet. And so what I want to do is, in all the amazing feats you have, which one really stands out and resonates at the top? Which is the ultimate never quit story that you have?
Well, it has to be Cuba. Cuba is the Mount Everest of the Earth's oceans. And let me say something right off the bat, and that is that I never, in the world of sports and adventure, and it can be life or death out there. It can. It goes to that point. It's a vast, epic wilderness, that particular stretch, 100 miles plus between Cuba and Florida. But I'm very careful never to compare what I did or what other athletes and adventurers do compared to you guys in the military. That is truly life on the line. It's not the same sort of spirit commitment that you guys have done. So let me lay that out there right away.
You're nice.
But in terms of my world, of the world of ocean swimming and my world of living a life of trying to touch every fiber of potential, every drop of courage I have, Cuba was the Mount Everest. I mean, this is Mother Nature raging on steroids. There is most swimmers who have tried it, and people have been trying since 1950.
Wow.
Good, young swimmers. I started when I was 28, and I tried and tried and tried 5 times, almost died, should have died from the box jellyfish, 2011, and I made it when I was 64. This was a long-term dream, and believe me, everybody on my team constantly was saying, have you looked at Guam? It's beautiful this time of year.
Warm water.
Yeah, how about the Gulf of Thailand? That's an honorable swim. I'd say it's got to be Cuba. Cuba's in my soul. I'm going to do that swim. I don't care how many times I fail at it. What did Teddy Roosevelt said? If you don't have the courage to fail, you're never going to succeed. And so to me, it was about the journey. It was about much more.
The ride. It's about the ride.
Than it was about making it.
What's so funny?
The journey, not the destination.
And we were just talking about this yesterday. When you look at buds and you look at that beat down that we get, and we spend a little bit of time in the water, unless you have that swollen feeling, your face is a mess, and your skin feels like it's gonna fall off. You're freezing. You're in hypothermia. But in those moments, you look over at your teammates and you start smiling, and you're like, "Yeah, this is awesome." Did your team they must have given you, like I saw a little footage, they gave you that constantly through that whole thing, huh?
Yeah, it is a team. It looks lonely, right? It looks solitary. If you're out there following us across, or let's say you were, in a drone or a helicopter up above, there's only one swimmer. There's only one pair of arms going right arm, left arm, right arm, left arm, hundreds of thousands of times. But that medical team, that navigation team, that shark team, how am I going to thank those guys? They put my life ahead of theirs, diving under me, pitch black. We use no lights. Lights attract the box jellyfish. They attract sharks. We go in dark at night, and they're just swimming around with no fatal gear. They just use pieces of PVC piping, looking for the fluorescent eyes of the sharks or the predators. How will I ever thank those guys? Teams of the expedition, they're various, and they were pros. They not only gave me, my when I didn't have an ounce of bravery left, when Bonnie would look at me and put her hand up like this and say, "Have you got 5 strokes? Not 5 minutes. Do you have 5 strokes left in you? Because I think you do. And if you don't, I'll believe you. We're going to wrap you up. We're never coming back. But I want to see you dig down and give me 5
That's
strokes."
awesome.
You can always do 5, right? That's taking. I can do 5.
take 5 little feeble strokes, and you look up and she's got her hand like this, 5 more. By the time you've taken 100, you're back.
Right,
And your
sure,
strength is back, and the sun's coming up, and hope is alive again. So they would give to me, and I would give to them. They would watch. There was one kayaker who finished his shift. His shoulders were pretty burned out. You know, they're not going fast, but they've got to continue. They're going for 53 hours. When he would go back to his boat and take a little quick shower, get something to eat, went down in his bunk, he told me that he was looking out the porthole, and all he saw dead of night was this red light toggling back like this, back and forth. It was my light on my cap. And he said, my God, if she can do that, I can do anything. I can do anything in this world. So it was a tight team, you know, both ways.
Sure. You got somebody he's going through his own challenge right there. And if you rotate your head in that swim, look over and see this guy, he ain't leaving me. I ain't going to leave him. I'm not stopping.
It's the fuel. It gets in your heart, right? Because you're in this monumental conquest to really, you know, go into a place that everybody else is scared to do, and you're in that space, and you feel every, you know, sinew in your muscle tissue, your brain, that negative speak is pounding you. But then you're right. You look over, you check your buddy's eyes, or you look at your partner, you look at whomever, man. And it's that you're filled with that never quit mindset. And it's a gift. It's really a gift.
Our job descriptions might have been different, like you were talking about earlier, but the outcome is the same. And what we like to do, because in our business, we train the hard way to do it the easy way. And so if you get hit on the easy way, you're ready for what comes at you. And we like to see inside what you were just talking about. You made a great point, because everybody looks down from the helo and they see you putting out, and around them. So I've even heard about, like, hey, get that kayaking guy out of the way so I can see. I'm like, man, he's an integral part of that team. But what we like to say, I want to know about, because in my own mind, going through the hard times, you know, when we're going through training, they always tell us not to look to the end. I'm just going to look. Some guys look to the end of the day. I looked to the end of the evolution. I was like, all right, we're training right here for an hour. I'm putting everything I got into this hour, because if I look too far ahead, I might get blinded by what I'm trying to accomplish. And especially when we get into the water, we're in there so long that the shore becomes foreign to us. And I mean, it's being in the water, it turns into something else. And did you ever, was that the anticipation of, it's just like, I'm not even thinking about getting to the end of that thing. I'm just thinking about putting that 5 strokes ahead of me. I can swim that.
That's it. And it's one of those life lessons, isn't it? Is if you have a dream, okay? And it's a star. It's so inspiring to you that you are then going to tuck that vision away, because you can't be shooting for the vision all the time. You'll never get it done. You need the focus. You need the discipline. You need the moment. You know, it's like the tennis players. The good ones say they're not playing the match. They're not even playing that other guy. They're playing the fuzz on the ball. And when they're so immersed in all those hundreds of thousands of practice strokes they've taken, and they're like a cheetah on the hunt. They're tracking down that ball. They're looking at the buzz that pretty soon, 2 weeks later, they're walking around with the Wimbledon trophy above their head. So the same thing here. How could I possibly get in the water off the rocks off Cuba? First of all, having no earthly idea when we're going to get to the other side. Most of the times we went, except for one, we never got to the other side. So the chances were slim each time. But what a fool I would be. We're going to be going through jellyfish and hypothermia and hallucinations and shoulder pain and wretched seasickness and, just a litany of obstacles. And what a fool I would be in the first hour or the 10th hour or the 20th hour to be involved in anything but that hour.
Right.
So, it was just focused in what can I do to get to the next feeding? What can I count? What can I sing? What inspiration, what Stephen Hawking magic of the universe can I bring into my eye? But I'm never, ever thinking to the other end. As a matter of fact, on our team, the only cardinal rule, we had 44 people on the boats around me in that expedition I was describing to you. Everybody's got their part. They're proud. They want not only to succeed, they want to succeed with ethics and with determination. This is not a party scene. Nobody is drinking alcohol. Nobody's joking around. We are in it when we're out there. And I look at those people when I'm taking my little drink and I stop. You can't touch the boat, but you tread water and you take a camelback hose and you're looking around. And I'm never once thinking, oh, what is it going to be like when we reach that shore?
Yeah, no.
It's not reality. Reality
It pushes
is
it further away.
Right here.
How long, Diana, how long did it take you to get to that point? Because you've been at this since you were a child swimming. And when along that path did you discover, you know what, I have the never quit mindset? When did that happen and where did it come from?
That's a really great question. And I guess, psychologists and philosophers and sociologists have been debating that,
Oh, we talked about that. Millions and millions of dollars are dumped into that, and no one has the answer.
Yeah, nobody has the answer. And I don't know if you knew the University of San Diego, test that the psychologist from Harvard and the guy down in San Diego did actually tested a lot of SEALs.
Yep, I know.
Yeah, so it's all about, where does will come from? Did your dad beat you up when you were 5 years old all the time, so you decided to get real tough and you were going to be the guy who never got beat up? I don't know. Of course, things that happen to us change, who we are. But I truly believe it's fundamental. I think that when you talk to parents, do you guys have kids?
Yeah.
Yes.
2 little kids.
Okay,
Each of them.
So you know better than I do, but when you talk to parents, so you tell me, because I'm not a parent, but I know lots of parents and been around a lot of kids. You can say, my son, my 42-year-old son, he was just like that when he was 18 months old. He had a will. He was, I couldn't talk him out of doing what he wanted to do. Or you could say, you see my son there, he's 50. He was just like that. He was always just kind of an easygoing, placid kid. Nothing bothered him. He was like a malleable little piece of putty. He would go in any direction. And I'm not saying either one of those is better. I'm just saying I think that mindset, and especially will. I get a chance to travel all over the world. I'm lucky. I meet women in Maasai tribes. I meet elderly people down in the Amazon. People have will. It's not just, the cream of the crop who wind up being Army Rangers and Navy SEALs and Olympic champions. A lot of the human spirit is about will.
One of my great stories going through training was, and they've been studying us for, like we said, 30 years, trying to figure out who's the guy that makes it. And my favorite story was when I was in Buds back in 96, the guy on the left of me has a master's degree from Clemson in English Lit. The guy on my right is a former gangbanger from outside Denver who both his parents were in jail for selling crystal when he was a baby, right? And then here I am, a college dropout. So the spectrum of dudes is across the board. And in my travels too, and all the places that we speak, we meet the same thing. You can't say that's the person. That's where it comes. I believe you're onto something when you talk about the will. Now, in this process, this quest, this dream you call it, where did you feel the will getting stronger? Because man, in the documentaries I've watched on you, you can see that last effort, that last push was really like you were almost possessed, like you had to do it.
Because, when you get into, and just to kind of elaborate on that question, you know what we're talking about. After you should keep doing this, and the people who push themselves, and I think each will in each person is different. That's what makes them unique, and the drive they have to do that, man. But there's those times when I've been beat down for 3 years. Yeah, man, and that's when you lean to your team. You're like, "Hey, bro, I'm having I'm getting a little weakness here. And then you just look over at them and be like, "Let's do it." So I know the darkness comes in when you're trying to obtain that ultimate goal, like you.
When did the possession start in you?
Well, let me ask you, Marcus. Go back to something you said a few minutes ago. You said something like, "We train tough to make it easy." What was that phrase you used?
We learn it the hard way so we can do it the easy way.
We learn it the hard way so we can do it the easy way. So everybody looks at this 53-hour swim and says, my God, it's so extreme what you go through. Look at you when you get out on the beach. You look like Rocky after he got pummeled by the Russian guy. But it starts at the beginning. It starts with resolve. When you have something that you believe in, that is going to demand your commitment, that's going to inspire you. For me, the training was always much, much tougher than the swim itself. Once you're in the swim, your adrenaline is flowing. This is what you came to the party for.
I'm going to work, yeah.
Right, there's nothing to stop you. But when you're out going to go 13 hours in the beginning of the year, you're not in shape yet. And you guys know swimming, even though you're underwater more. But the shoulders, the nonstop 13 hours, sensory deprivation. You got this tight cap over your ears. You got these fogged over goggles. You're turning your head once a minute. You don't see a thing. Every training swim we'd finish, all the people on my boat would say, "Oh, was that awesome? That pod of 50 dolphin went by. And did you see those 2 big turtles? And how about that French sailboat? That was sexy." I didn't see a thing. I'm turning my head like this. I'm in my own little world. So when I decided to do this thing, it was like lockdown. It was like, it doesn't matter if I'm going to go out 15 hours to train and it's a whipping wind day. I've been throwing up most of the day. I'm just beat. When I come into the dock, Bonnie says to me, "I know you. It's 14 hours and 48 minutes and you wanted 15. Like, who cares? We made up the training thing. Right. Would you guys care if I did 14:58 instead of 15 hours?
Yeah.
No. I know what the resolve is, that whatever I say I'm going to do, if I'm doing 1,000 burpees, I'm doing it not 999, I'm doing 1,000 burpees. And then when I get on those rocks in Cuba, I say to myself, I made the training tough so that this would be easy. And it's never easy, but I mean possible. And there's no stone unturned. So when you say, when does it come in? I actually think it comes in the beginning with the resolve, with the vision. That's when the heart comes in.
Right. And then you chip away at it through the training. And to kind of elaborate on your perfect point is, we only see, especially if someone in the public, an exceptional human, you only see kind of the exceptional part of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it's like, and people, they're motivated by that. And then you look behind the curtain, and all those people that she works with are basically the wires that plug into the engine. I mean, and if one of those wires goes away, the engine slows down. And that's what I love about this part, is you see what the madness behind it, because no one knows what being in the water for more than 5 hours starts to do to you. I mean, by the time you're climbing out of there, your skin is starting to separate. And I mean, you swallowed so much salt water, you're sick. It takes that kind of strenuous output just to test that woman. That human, that woman, man, a human being, putting yourself in those rigors and having just a little glimpse into what it's like to be in the water that long. It's amazing whatever powers everybody, in my opinion, would have it. It's just a matter of, just like she said, chipping it away and going at it, man, and just...
Absolutely. So a question I got now is, after you finish that and you have this great, amazing climactic performance, what happened in your life for the short term after that?
I've kind of been wrapped up in a tsunami since walking up on that beach. That was Labor Day 2013. So this, coming Labor Day will be 3 years. And I've just got this magical, gifted moment given to me to inspire. So I'm going around the world. I'm speaking 4 or 5 days a week, all around the world, to all different kinds of groups. There are lots of things in this life I have no talent for at all. I do have a talent for standing on stage and telling an arc of stories. Frankly, I want to go to Broadway one day.
Really?
I'm capable of telling a story that is riveting and you can't hear a pin drop, and then the next moment people are laughing uproariously and making it entertaining and going somewhere, so that at the end, and that's what your podcast is all about, who listening to you is going to become a Navy SEAL? Not many. Who is going to swim from Cuba to Florida? Probably nobody. But everybody wants to live a life. Everybody. Right. That's why when we see Lone Survivor, when we see your story, Marcus, when we see American Sniper, I'm never going to be in the military. I'm never going to be holding an AK-47 and looking at a kid coming down the street in Afghanistan. But we understand what's under that. Like the 25 million people who reached out to us at the end of this swim. I don't say this in an ego way. I'm trying to say that resonated. So it was like, it was the biggest, number one Google search in the world for a couple of days. That wasn't
That's
because
cool.
they were so, moved by someone breaking a record or setting a new endurance. No, it's because they could feel for their own lives. People were crying on that beach that day when they heard those words, never, ever give up. They're thinking of themselves and their mother who has cancer or their husband who just lost his job and finances at home are awful. They're thinking about that great American novel they always said they were going to write. They don't want to get to the end of their lives and say, I just kind of let it all go by. I didn't do much with it. They don't have to be world class. They just want to feel those precepts that we're living out loud. Is you don't give up. Like, I'm not going to be a marathon swimmer anymore. The earth is 4/5 water. How can I find something that would mean something to me that Cuba did? That was it. And now I probably won't feel that incredible physical duress again. I won't be taken to those depths of hallucinations again, but I do try to wake up every day and say, make this day worthwhile. And,
awesome.
And I think that's what people are getting from your show, from your lives, and from my life too.
Well, that's the greatest reason why we wanted to have you on, is because we talked about this when we were saying, hey, how do we reach a bigger audience on a regular basis? And Marcus was telling, one of the greatest things that he gets from speaking, that I get from speaking, our life in the teams is over. But when you get that little kid or that person that's in that dark space that comes up and says, hey, man, you really helped me get through that dark space. You feel that energy, right? Yeah. It's awesome.
I mean, one of the points you try to do in bringing you on, we're cut from the same cloth, all of us. And I mean, I heard you say, I will never have an AK in my hand. Yeah, you don't have to do that. We covered down on that part. That's what we did for you. You motivated people. I mean, getting in that water and swimming shows people that this is how far you can absolutely take it. But it's important, I think, to not get blinded by, your accomplishments are great, but people, hey, even if you swim the length of your pool, get out and do something, because this is how far you can take it. One thing we learned, and that really well, is how far you can push the human body. I don't think, the limit is to where you go down, right?
That's when you die.
Right, and everybody's is different. And I think that's important to know that, you getting out there and passing that down, I like to say, I'm to a point where I'm almost self-deprecating. I'm like, hey, look, man, there ain't nothing real special here. It's just, I just refuse to stay down. And if I get something in front of me that I want, I'm going to go at it with everything I got, because what else is there?
Yeah, I believe it. You know what? I was giving a speech in Boston a couple of months ago, about 5,000 people, beautiful proscenium stage. I loved it because then I picture myself on Broadway one day. We'll see if that comes to pass. But there was only one kid in the audience, and I had seen him. I try to make eye contact, with just about everybody when I'm out there. And there was a kid in the second row. He was like 5 years old. And I thought, he started crying about 40 minutes into this hour presentation. He started crying, and people in the audience were tittering and laughing a little bit. And I, of course, thought, he's just tired. He wants to go home. His mother probably didn't have any place to put him that night, so she brought him. Well, she was giving me a little contact and body language like, no, he's connecting with you. Something is moving him. So I stopped the whole thing. I brought him up on stage with his mother. They were holding hands, and he was still kind of hyperventilating from crying. And I said, what's your name? He said, Henry. And I said, Henry, why are you crying? He said, because you show me I can do anything I want in this world. And the crowd went ballistic. And they stood up and gave a standing ovation. I said to the mother, okay, I need the two of you to come with me to every speech I give. You're going to be my plants. We're going to and right at 40 minutes, Henry starts crying. Yeah. But I guess my point is that I'm a baby boomer. I did this swim when I was 64. I'm 66 now. I don't pretend to be any age that I'm not. On the other hand, I've got a lot of vitality. I got a lot of life left to live. And people my age look to me to say, hell yeah, we're not done yet. We're not 100. But people of every age, millennials, reach out to me all the time. They want to live their lives. And something you just said, Marcus, is that it's not a matter of becoming a world champion or doing something that no one ever did. It's just living a meaningful life.
Amen.
And it's tapping into your potential. Like you said, if you don't push yourself to some limit, you're going to sit around always with this malaise of, well, I think I could have done that. I think I could have become one of those, but it went to never know is depressing.
Right.
And that's why a lot of Americans are depressed. They're not out there pushing in some direction,
You're perfect. Exactly what you said. I think success comes in every form. And even climbing the ladder, you're being successful. And you can always have more. We were talking about that. I set a goal for myself a long time ago, hit it, and then spent the rest of the time enjoying it. And I was wondering when we first started talking if you were an author or a storyteller, because there's a huge difference. And you're a storyteller. My granddad always said, if you can tell a story, you can rule the world. So the fact that you accomplished everything that you did and then had the means to get out and tell it, because we were talking about that too. We could go through the same thing, and I'd say, I swam from Cuba to Florida. But when you're like, I got in the water, man, and I'm scared to death of sharks. So the whole time I was looking for sharks, and then I swam too fast. Just to be able to tell the story like that and put those details in it is amazing. And you have a gift, and we'll be in the front row. Crying on your Broadway
performance,
and you can pull us up too, and I'll lather it on good.
All right. Well,
I must say, you know what? I thank you for that, and I do believe it. My talent wasn't so much as being a fan. I am a good swimmer. I'm a powerful and smooth and efficient swimmer.
I did want to ask you that.
But I'm not Michael Phelps, that's for sure. Well, as a matter of fact, if we wanted to get detailed about that, all the great ultra endurance athletes, most of them in the world, the Tour de France riders, the big alpine climbers,
ultra
the
runners,
marathon swimmers who go the ultra distances, we're fairly compact people. You don't want to be a Michael Phelps. You don't want to be 6'6" with long extremities very far from your heart. You want to have it all pretty compact. You want to be strong compared to your body.
Right.
And so, I'm sort of digressing a little bit, but I'm just going to say that if I were going to stand on a shore with 1,000 swimmers from age 15 up, I don't care, boys, girls, men, women, and we were all going to swim 1 mile, I probably wouldn't come in, the top 90%. Probably most of those people would beat me. Now, what if we swim 100 miles? I would tell you to take all your money and go to the bank and bet it on me, because now it's a matter of heart and will and spirit, as well as the training and the ability to swim. So
you're built like me. You got low gear. I'm built for distance too. I was never a sprinter.
You were definitely not a sprinter.
Throw the weight on, and I'll get there. I'll make it.
All right. So let's wrap up. I'm
sure you got to go.
Yeah, I want to get you out there and hit you so you can keep influencing the masses. But the one thing that I think when people tune into this, and you nailed it on the head, when they tune into Team Never Quit podcast, they want some takeaways. They want a how-to. They want to understand, all right, Diana, what do I need to do to kickstart my life to go after that dream?
Everyone thinks there's a rule to it or something, and everyone's is different, right?
Amen.
So your little tricks that you had, the voice that you hear, the song that you play in your head, the phrase you know what I'm talking about? Exactly, right? It's kind of one of what it is for you.
What do you tell people?
It's interesting, because I'm sure you guys get this a lot too. But often at the end of a speech or, Facebook or whatever, people will say to me, you know what? I do have drive. I do have a desire to live a large life, but I'm not inspired. I don't know what to do. I'm not going to be a musician. I'm not a writer. They don't know what it is to do. And I guess, my friend Bonnie is terrific at this. She was a world-class racquetball player in her day, but more than anything, she just gets up and embraces that day, whether it's nature or taking a walk with her dog or doing something for a friend who's in need or repairing her house. She's just all alive and awake and alert every minute of every day. You know what I mean? Sometimes people mistake that they can't live a large life unless they're chasing some nearly impossible star. But my ethic is actually an umbrella one above that extreme living, and that is just don't go to bed at night and just say, wow, kind of threw that day away. And especially as you get older, you start counting the days and you just say, how could I be given, whatever your religious beliefs are, how could I be given the privilege to live this life, breathe this oxygen, look at these beautiful trees, look at that blue jewel of an ocean, of a planet of ours, and not embrace it and do something with it. So it doesn't have to be world class. You just got to do. You know what? The next thing Bonnie and I are doing, and by the way, if I haven't said it enough, she was my head handler on the swims. And my best friend, she became the leader of the expedition. Just tough as nails, but compassionate at the same time. But we're starting something called Everwalk. We're going to give people a chance to do, even if they're not Navy SEALs or Ironmen, they're going to be able to walk epic distances across America. We're going to go Boston to New York City, Orlando to Miami,
Wow.
Atlanta to Washington, D.C., Chicago to Minneapolis. People can do shorter parts of it if they want, but we are going to walk the whole thing, and we're going to get thousands of people to go with us. So it's
Awesome.
Yeah. I might have to join you on that, huh?
It's called Everwalk. Thank you.
Well, where do, like, if people want to learn more about those details and the programs to get started, to get the walk in, where to find the shoes, and the one thing that we always talk about in all this is, where do they find their partner, that swim buddy? We call them swim buddies, right? In the teams. Where do they find them? Where should they go to find people of like mind to help them on that Everwalk, or to help them on the swim, or to help them find a team?
Yeah.
Where do they go?
Yeah, well, we're lucky. Look at the life we're living these days. We're just all cued into social media.
Connected.
When I write, I don't have fans like Kim Kardashian. I'm not of that level of social media. But if I post something on Abby Wambach was stopped. The great soccer player was stopped with a DUI a month ago, and I wrote a little my own opinion about it, and we could give her a break. It was her first mistake. She admitted to it. Said never in her life will she get behind a wheel again drinking. And 500,000 people wrote in. 500,000 people, and they all had different. Some are mothers against drunk driving, mad, who've lost children to drunk drivers, and they have every reason to have their opinions. But others had other opinions, and there was this great dialogue. And, as you said, if on Everwalk.com, a woman writes in from Montana, let's say, and she says, you know what, I don't know how this happened to me. I was the good-looking girl in high school. I was a runner, and now I'm 40 pounds overweight. I haven't done a thing in 10 years. I feel like a slob. And some other woman from Alabama writes in and sees her comment and says, I'm in the same position. Let's start walking together. So they're in Montana and Alabama. They start with around the block. Then and then a month later, they're walking a mile. And then they're saying, you know what? Those Everwalk people, that Nyad, she's coming to Chicago, Minneapolis. Let's do it. Let's take our summer vacation, meet in Chicago, and let's walk that whole thing. So, I just think whether it's Everwalk or, Facebook, but people find each other and they reach out. It's one of the cool aspects of modern life today in the tech world.
It really is. I mean, what I love about Marcus is over here is he's like the reluctant hero, right? I've coined this phrase out of my research from guys in the teams and stuff, and how they affect people with their stories, or anybody in your case similar to you is, you do something out of passion in your heart, but then you're able to make commentary that really invokes that connection that people have with you. And it drives, like you're saying, it drives dialogue, it drives passion, compassion, empathy, apathy, and it really is a beautiful thing. Granted, there's a lot of nut jobs out there, as we all know, but I think in the greater context of how we are connected and how we can influence, man, you put something out that comes from the heart, that has good meaning to it, that is, that has a certain empathy, man, people are going to respond. They're going to get behind it. And that's what's so
motivating.
Yeah, it's motivating. All right.
Yeah. And by the way, that phrase, reluctant hero, I mean, isn't that what every hero winds up being? I can't think of a true hero who stands up pounding his chest and say, look what I did, everybody. That doesn't happen. Most heroes are reluctant. They did what they did because they had to, because they They
Right.
were committed to it because they wanted to, out of passion. And even if no one ever knew about it, they would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
So I think reluctant hero are two words that go together.
They do. They do. All right. So, I've got one last question for you before we wrap up and send you on your way. And that really is, it has to do with at the end of your days, when it's all said and done and you're pushing up daisies somewhere, what do you want the world to remember you for? Just the swim? For your Broadway performance where you won a Tony? What is it? What do you want people to remember you for?
Yeah, no, David, it's not those, it's not the list. It's not the accounting, taking out the ledger and say, did she make some money? Did she get in some halls of fame? It has to do with, how do you live a life? Yeah, if you lived a life when you got to the end of it that said, wow, it went by like lightning and I didn't have a chance to do all the things I wanted to do, help all the people I wanted to help, go all the places I want to go, but I got no regrets. I lived it so I couldn't have done any day a fingernail better.
Right,
and if that's what people can take away from my life and say, you know what, that's the way, I'm not living the same life. I have a completely different set of vocabulary words and desires and details to my life. But the way that Nyad lived her life, that's the way I want to live a life. No regrets, all out.
Well, you can't get much better than that right there, man.
Check, please.
Diana, we really we're just so honored and privileged again, not to use that word lightly, to have you on. Thank you for in my world, it's all about energy. If you're bringing big energy in, then you're going to make the world a better place. And you brought that today. So I just thank you so much.
For me, it's all about the person who just gets drug in the mud the whole time and to get where they're going. And my dad always said, don't let anything define you as a man. I was a Navy SEAL, did write some books and but every day is different when I get up, man. I love being a family man and hanging out with my friends. And I just love to, I'm enamored by your commitment in the water because
That's huge.
Yeah, I was part of my job in the SEAL teams was at a SEAL delivery vehicle team, and we spent a lot of time in the water, man. And I mean, I just want to talk to you about, I know that you have put everything in alphabetical order. Every person you've ever met when you graduated, I mean, you think of everything when you're in the water. Because you can't, I mean, this is especially before headphones and you can listen to music. I'd love to hear that story one day, but thank you so much.
Yeah, here's what we'll promise you. If we're ever in the same city at the same time, we're going to take you out to dinner and we're going to get into the nitty gritty of the paint.
Yeah, exactly. I wish we had more time because that's what I love hearing about.
Where are you?
Texas.
We're in Texas.
But we go all over.
Oh, you go everywhere. Well, let's do it then. Let's just hook up.
What's South Florida, right?
She's in California.
California.
Yeah, but
but like you, I'm out and about. I'm all everywhere. But let me come full circle in our conversation and say that I'm not trying to paint a picture like I'm some big famous person, but the truth is I am asked for interviews all the time. It's at least daily. There's an offer, and there are a lot of good people out there telling good stories and doing good profiles. But this is the first one I've accepted in a long time because I read about both of your biographies and what you're doing. And so to come back to that word we started with, I mean it. It's been my sincere honor to speak to both of you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Diana. Take care.
Bye, sweetie.
Bye.
Safe travels. Safe travels.
So, Marcus, I mean, I don't know.
Wow, right?
Wow is like an understatement, man, because what I do is the whole time as we were listening to her talk, I just kept going back and back and back in my head at that, 96 straight hours we did in Hell Week. And I started thinking, man, when she talked about that just little focus and just that one stroke and that one stroke and that one line. And man, it just resonated with me that it's not about the big, massive thing. It's about the one
That one moment,
yeah.
Getting into that with her, I'm like, hey, man, when you're at that middle marker and people who run marathons and just no matter what it is, it's like, oh, man, I'm halfway. And you need to. That's how you, when you motivate yourself to say, "Yeah, I am halfway." And that halfway is not a bad. It's the glass is kind of half full, and that's how you really have to do it, man. No matter what. If you're wondering where the secret is, it's that. SEALs, what do? We don't. Most people find an excuse to get out of something. We find the little excuse to stay in it.
To stay in, to prolong the pain,
I mean,
right?
It got to where I was like, all right, I can make it to lunch or the chow. Just make it to chow.
Well, yeah. Dude, I got so bad, man. Like, I couldn't do the one make it to chow because I was in so much pain. And for me, it was just, I make it to the next order I'm given.
Right.
And try and fulfill that order. And that's it. And that's all I could go.
Thursday Hell Week, there's like drop down for 50, right? Or whatever it is. And after you've done a million, and I mean, your eyelids are the ones what's going up and down. And you literally have to tell yourself, just do the eyelids and take the beating.
Right?
You know what I mean?
It's part of it. And then you're just like, I just keep beating me. I'll just keep going.
And the beauty about that, which you don't realize when you're going through it, is it doesn't matter how good we are, our job is going to suck. That's what I took from that.
The pain.
The pain's always going to be there.
Pain.
And no matter how hard you try, eventually, man, it's going to break. The body's going to break down, and all you're going to have left is your mind. And that's the only reason I got through
what you did.
Yeah.
And that's what she was saying too, right?
Yeah.
That's what that woman said through the whole thing was, she trained so much leading up to it. When she had moved to St. Martin and was doing all those Caribbean swims, 12, 15, 20, 30 hour swims to get ready for it. But it was literally like, all right, she knew she still had to do it. So she didn't think about the long term. It was just like, I just gonna do it. Gonna embrace that suck.
Right. And we talked about that earlier, and I think it's important to bring this up and how you describe something. So when we're sitting here doing the interview, we're not those long distance swimmers, man. What she was describing, she had to go through in her own words from a swimmer's perspective. I mean, it's the exact same thing we have to go through. We just describe it in SEAL terminology.
Yep.
So it's not any different. It really, in anything you do, I mean, you see these exceptional athletes and what they got, and they try to explain it, and some people are like, and I could never do that. Well, yeah, you can, man. You just got to go about it a different way.
Absolutely. And that's why for the listeners out there, you guys paying attention, that's why we have the after action reports. So you can come in, you tune into the Team Never Quit podcast, which is tnqpodcast.com. And you'll hear the second half where Marcus and I, and sometimes we'll get the guests on to be in there with the after action. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of that, the how to in your life, how to get motivated off the couch every day, how to push through some pain in those dark spots. And that's what the after actions is all about.
Right.
Well,
and the pain lets you know that you're making progress. People need to know that. All right. And I can't swim from Cuba to Florida. I mean, I'd die trying, but I can definitely swim from one end of a swim pool to the other. And then when I can do it once, I'll go for two and that's what that was. I mean, we're backing it up as far as you can.
Yeah.
That's what we did too, man. All we did was sign that paper and step over the quarterdeck line. You know what I mean? And from there, it was a process.
put the greens on.
Man.
You just got to put the greens on, man.
Brace the suck, because here it comes, man.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in to this show and the TNQ podcast with me and Marcus. Listen, if you want to know more about us, just visit the teamneverquit.com. We've got all kinds of stuff there for you to check out. We've got the Team Never Quit speakers. We've got the Team Never Quit story. We've got a lot of cool gear that you can purchase. Don't forget to also check out of course, the TNQ podcast and all the different other shows that are on there. And listen, what we really want to also hear is we want to hear your never quit story, right? I mean, we talk about it all the time, man, that everybody's got one. Now, yours might not be swimming from Cuba to Florida, but it might be that you overcame cancer.
Right.
Or that you taught somebody who couldn't read to read. Whatever your never quit story is.
And how you did it.
Yeah.
That's the unique part about it. Yes, everyone has one. How they got to it is different. And that's the beauty about this, man. We want to hear that little detail that you think you might be overlooking that's not important. Well, if it was important to us. Yeah, if it was important to you, it's important to us.
Important to us.
Yeah.
So write those in, submit them online to us. Even if you've got a friend out there, if you feel like you want to give us a testimonial on your FaceTime or your webcam or whatever, send those in too. And what we're going to do if they're, we're going to pick out the great ones. You can post just your comments comments there if you want. But we're gonna look at those really special ones, and if they're awesome, we're gonna talk about those on the air. If it's super awesome, where it like Marcus and I look at each other we're like, damn, did you read that?
I gotta see what's left of this. You know what I'm talking about?
If that's your story, then guess what? There's a good chance that you're going to be on the TNQ podcast with me and Marcus, because that's what we're looking for. Remember, it's our mission. It is our mission in life. Remember, we're on a mission from God, right? To help inspire you, to light that fire in your gut, to get you through those dark times, through the pain, to embrace that pain, and to discover the never quit mindset on your own, or at least to flush it out and bring it to the surface. So I want to thank everybody in my life. I want to thank all listeners. I want to thank all my teammates, my instructors. I want to thank my family, my friends. I want to thank Marcus. This is such a privilege to put this podcast out there. And how about you?
And I close it out and end every day with thanking the good Lord for giving me just the ability to get up and keep going. And then I thank my wife, obviously, the boss.
The boss and the admiral, yeah.
Coming into my life, changing everything, giving me my wonderful kids, my home, my tractor, you know, everything. I love that woman more than life itself. Truly do. And I wouldn't be here without the crew I grew up with and my teammates. So, and all the other people that we've had a chance to go around and meet. Trust me, if we had a second to talk with each other, then I've taken something from you. I've learned from you, and that kind of rounds everything out and gives me the ability to do what I do today. So thanks for that, and God bless.
God bless. We're out.
Never Quit Radio.